You're listening to the Geriatric Mamas Podcast with Jessica Raziri
and Sonia Tapley. Like the level of panic when your cell phone is just stuck on frozen and your computer's frozen and there's nothing. You're just staring at everything.
That's what horror movies are from. Hayden has this new thing. Well, it's not really new, but he has this obsession with my cell phone. And so it's like, I feel like it's probably not a good thing. But of course, like, whenever I just like need a fucking minute, I'm like, here's my phone. Fine. Just sit here with my phone, whatever. So I'm literally locked out of my phone on the daily because he's just pressing all this shit. And it's like, sorry, that's the third failed attempt to your login. You're now blocked for 5 minutes or whatever the hell it is. Yeah. So it's like whenever I get my phone back, it's like, and you're locked out. I'm like, that's beautiful.
Yeah. I know. One time, because I couldn't afford to do that with my phone, I gave Annabelle my iPad because I didn't need it. She locked me out for 24 hours.
What? What do you have to do to get banned for 24 hours?
I think she locked me out like 10 or 11 or 12 times in a row.
There's this thing I saw, like, I don't know if it was like a TikTok or something, but somebody was showing how to lock the screen so that way the kid can like play.
Yeah,
you can put, like,
Tiffany sent the video and it works on my phone and it doesn't work on Mike's phone.
I can't figure it out though. I can't figure out how to do it.
What phone do you have?
There. It's an iPhone.
Is it a 14?
I don't know what the fuck it is.
Because Mike's phone won't do it. Mike's phone won't do it.
Oh, it's an 11 Pro.
Okay, I think that's why, because that's what Mike has.
I'm not fancy.
His won't do it. It's really annoying. So speaking of cell phones and using them as a distraction, so Annabelle still, like, as of a week and a half ago, wasn't like super happy about sitting down at restaurants and just having a calm and peaceful meal with her parents. I mean, she was better than when we were in Dallas and she was running around like a rabid beast, but but we went out for dinner on like Wednesday night and we put the phone in lock the way that we were just talking about. And we put on Daniel Tiger because she's been asking for that. And she sat there and watched it and was pretty much okay the whole time we were eating dinner. And then the next time we went like for lunch on Saturday and she just sat there and didn't need Daniel Tiger. She just had a normal, calm, peaceful lunch. And she ate and was totally fine. And I was just like, are we in the Twilight Zone right now? Did that just happen? We were just so happy and like congratulating her on being such a big girl. And then we went out for like cocktails on a patio where she likes to hang out. And we figured if we had a cocktail, she could have a Shirley Temple and some French fries. And she was the same. She was really good. But there were like a couple of girls that came over, little ones, and just kind of kept her occupied for a little while too. So that was helpful, but she was great. And then we went out for dinner on Sunday and she was great. And I'm like,
oh my God, what? She's turning a new leaf.
And she just knows it too. She's so proud of herself. She's like, I like to sit here and eat all the food with mom and dad and just chit chat.
Oh, that's amazing. Yeah. That's so good.
We haven't gone
out to eat in a while since I've gotten back to, have we? Yeah, since we've gotten back to Dallas, we haven't gone out to eat with Hayden. But like, he's just like, he's so fun to take to stores and stuff, especially now that he can sit in the front cart. And like, you know, he's just so good, like going to like restaurants and everything. He's just like, he's at that age where he's just fun. Like everything's just so new and exciting. And, you know, he loves like smiling at people. He's such a little flirt. So I love that. I'm so happy. Yeah. Cause Annabelle was definitely drumming to her own beat for a bit there when it came to restaurants.
There was no comprehension that we were trying to sit down and eat food and just be civilized human beings.
Well, Hayden has his first black eye.
Poor baby.
Yeah. And I feel like it's my fault. Like, I feel like such an asshole. I didn't give him the black eye. Let me explain. So he is on the couch, and like up until a few weeks ago, you could like sit him on the couch and he wouldn't go anywhere. He would just sit there. He's chill. Well, now he's just this little squirmy rolling around. Like, he's so close to crawling. So he's just not wanting to sit put at all. And I was standing right here next to him, and he's on the chase lounge, and Gemma, our bigger pug, was kind of like blocking him in. So I honestly have no idea how he did this. But I'm standing right here, and I'm talking to Adam, and like arms length away, like I'm literally right next to him. And then all of a sudden, next thing I know, they always say like, oh, it looked away for a second or happened so fast. And it's so cliche, but it's so fucking true. And all of a sudden, next thing I know, he's on the floor. And I think he landed, it was a slow fall, but he landed just right. And I'm pretty sure he landed kind of like this. So, cause he has like a little cut on the bottom of his eye. So I think like his like thumbnail caught the bottom of his eye, and then his other finger like hit the top part. So he has this like, it literally looks like he has like purple eyeshadow on, like it's like above, and then it's like below, and it immediately showed up red. And I'm just like staring at it. I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? And I'm looking at him, and I was like, well, maybe tomorrow it won't look so bad. And he's just like, yeah. No, it's probably gonna look worse. I'm like, fuck. And then of course today it just looks worse. He's as happy as can be. Like, you know, I soothed him, acknowledged that, like, I'm sure that was really, you know, scary. And then he had an applesauce, and it was like, it never happened. But of course, I'm the one that's like freaking out. And it's like, obviously, you know, kids get bruises, kids get hurt. But I feel like there's this like low key, unsaid judgment that happens when like you see a mother walking by with like her baby that has a bruise, especially a black guy. It's like, what the fuck did you do to your child? You know? It's like, I didn't do it.
No, I know. Annabelle got a black eye from a mosquito bite last year, and I brought her into my grandmother's house, and my grandmother insta-bawled. Like, tears just started flowing out of her eyes. Like, she didn't even know what happened yet. And I'm like, Nana, she got bit by a mosquito right under her eye, and she was still only a year old, so her skin was very sensitive. And those things happen. Like, they welt up really easily. And I was like, but so do falls. Falls happen. Like, these are things Mike and I are always wondering kind of why people don't talk about that, because there's like the age from like when they start toddling around, like the crawling to toddling, where they're not so sure what they can do and what they can't do, where they usually have about 10 to 15 bruises at any given time. And you are sitting right next to them every time it happens. And Mike's like, why don't people talk about these things? Because it was awful when we were going through that stage. I would cry every single time she hurt herself, and it was a lot.
I definitely teared up last night. I felt so bad. And he did that like cry that like I hadn't heard before, because usually all his other cries are because he wants something or he's tired or whatever. This was like definitely that hurt, you know, cry. It was that like long pause where he's like and I'm just like, oh my God. And he just had this big frown on his face. He was just like, I felt so bad.
Yeah. And then he's like, Mom, this applesauce is the best applesauce I've ever had. Thanks so much.
Well, it's like, you know, Adam and I, because like Adam's like, he's like, well, he's kind of feeding off of your reaction. And I'm sure he was, but at the same time, I'm like, yeah, but it also clearly fucking hurt him too. You know, like I don't think that's all just me. Like it hurt him. And I was reading somewhere that, you know, when kids fall, when kids get hurt or something happens and it scares them, it's like our instant reaction is to be like, you're okay, you're fine, or whatever, to try to get them to like be okay. But I was reading that it's like in doing that, it's kind of confusing to them because they're like, but that was really scary, you know? So it's like, take a minute, acknowledge like, hey, I'm sure that was so scary for you. That would have scared me too. But listen, you're okay. I'm here. You're going to be okay, you know? And so like, but it's like, it's one thing to do that when they're older and they can understand. He's a baby. He doesn't really know what the fuck I'm saying. And so I was trying to do that, but I think like I probably was making it worse because I was like extra coddling. Like, I know that was scary, I'm sure. And then Adam's just like, well, he's going to cry more when you're doing that. And he's not wrong. So it's like to find that balance, you know, it's like just trying to do my fucking best. Okay.
Right.
I don't know what I'm supposed to do.
It's so hard. I think the majority of Mike and my arguments for the last 2 years has been because of those things. And I'm like, listen, when my baby is scream crying because she legit just hurt herself, exactly in that moment have the self-control to not be super worried. And
Yeah.
but I do the same thing. I feel like we read the same article because I 100% want her to know, like, not be told it's okay.
Right.
First.
Like, you had a right to react that way. I'm sure that was really scary. You know, let's give a minute to, like, feel that. And then, like, let's try to make ourselves feel better.
Right. Clearly, this is something we could talk about for days. So maybe.
I know. Maybe we'll just quickly change the episode to
bruises. Bumps and bruises. Today's episode is actually about postpartum stories. So you and I are going to go through our postpartum stories. We've got a lot to share, so I'm kind of excited to get into it. What do you say?
I am too, because like when I was asking people, like, you know, I was truly trying to figure out what to expect, and I feel like there was like a big gap from the time that like you're wheeled back into the hospital room to the time that like you're at home. It's like everybody just automatically like jumps to like what happens at home and like the sleepless nights and this and that, and it's like all of that is important, obviously, and I needed to know that, but I feel like there was just so much that happened in between there. And then it's not just baby, right? Like my body went through some weird shit that I wasn't prepared for, too. So I think, you know, just kind of getting it all out there, and everybody's experience is obviously a little different, but I think just kind of like, I don't know, just hearing these stories and just kind of, I don't know what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, no, I think it's helpful to hear from the time that you're wheeled back in the room after having a C-section, because both of us had C-sections.
So yours, though, was like, I mean...
yeah. So
mine was scheduled. Yours was an emergency C-section,
yeah, mine was an emergency C-section that was only happened because I was induced, and I tried to have her naturally, sort of. Yeah, so by the time I went in for my surgery, I was already super swollen and super nauseous from, you know, all the other medications that were going through my body. And I know you were nauseous like after your surgery.
You hadn't really like slept much, hadn't really eaten much or anything in like days at this point too. So you're also like mentally and physically
had gone through top notch. I was top notch physically. Yeah. So basically in the operating room, I was already saying that I felt like I was going to pass out and like I was nauseous. So they gave Annabelle straight to Mike, and I just like gave her a kiss and then made sure he was the only one that was going to really hold her out of the two of us. He knew that was what was going to happen. So they wheeled us back to our room. And I mean, this was 2 years ago now. So I just remember still feeling super nauseous when I got back to the room. So I would hold Annabelle for a few seconds. I would have her latch for like maybe, you know.
Did she latch right away? Did she like know what to do?
Yeah, she latched right away. She was definitely, I mean, she was, you know, since she was 2 weeks late, she kind of did everything she needed to do within the first couple of minutes.
You basically gave birth to a toddler.
I did. She went pee. She went poop. She smiled. She said, "Hey, Mom, what's up? I want to eat now." So I'm like, good thing you know what you're doing because I feel really sick. So I would hold her for like a couple minutes that felt like 2 seconds. And then I would give her back to Mike. And then I would be like, can I have her back? And I would hold her for a couple minutes. And then finally the nausea went away. They gave me something for it. I can't remember what the medicine was called, but they gave me something for the nausea. And then I was able to hold her. And I just remember
how long did they make you? Sorry, how long did they make you wait before they gave you the nausea medication? Like, how long were you nauseous for before they finally gave you something?
Well, I was nauseous going into the operating room, and of course, they didn't want to do anything about it there. They said that as soon as we got back to the room, they would give it to me. So as soon as we got back to the room, they gave me the pills, and I just downed it and hoped for the best. How about you?
Yeah, that was not my fucking story.
No?
So I was annoyed. Yeah. I got an F-bomb because this was like the one thing, like mine was very smooth. Like as people know that have been listening from the start, mine was a planned C-section. So I went in feeling great.